If you have spent a lot of time studying gender, you will notice a pattern in the sorts of arguments against the existence of gender, and more so, the restrictions preventing a person from changing their sex. There are 4 common arguments in favor of the concept that sex is immaterial and able to be changed. Number 1. The very notion of binary sex is an artifact of Western colonization. 2. Nemo's Law, the observation that if you mention sexual dimorphism, sooner or later someone will bring up clownfish, which are sequential hermaphrodites born with the potential to mature into either males or females. 3. The claim that people with intersex conditions prove that sex is not binary. And 4. The claim that sex is socially constructed. Today, I want to focus on this 3rd argument. One of the most common arguments for the validation of non-binary and non-traditional gender identities are the existence of those intersex conditions. However, people who do argue this do not know much about the conditions they are using as proof of other genders. That's fair enough. Most people don't know much about their own sex, male or female, because of the lack of education we receive in our own bodies. But if people are going to argue that there is a 3rd sex, that sexual transition is truly possible, then we should first understand what this mysterious other gender is supposed to be. So, let's discuss. What does intersex mean? All intersex conditions are sex-specific. Sex is a language we use to describe reproduction, the first step of which is when ova fuse a spermatoza. Humans are a sexually dimorphic species in which we produce just 2 types of gamete, and each individual only produces 1 type. Female denotes the sex that is capable of producing ova, or the large gamete. Male denotes the sex that is capable of producing spermatoza, or the small gamete. No one produces both, no one produces a different gamete. Obviously, some people are infertile, but they are still of a sex that is capable of producing either ova or spermatoza. Because humans are sexually dimorphic, the 2 sexes have different physical characteristics. This includes bone density, the angles of the pelvis, fat distribution and storage, facial structure, organs, and genitalia. For the vast majority of people, sex is not assigned at birth, it is observed. And genitalia is a very good indicator of sex. If a baby has a vagina, they are observed to be female. If they have a penis, they are observed to be male. This is not entirely foolproof, as there are some very rare people who are born with a vagina but have XY chromosomes and internal testes, but the vast majority of people can be accurately categorized into the correct sex at birth through the observation of the genitalia. Assigned sex is actually a term for intersex genital mutilation. In many places, even today, doctors perform surgery on babies born of genitalia that isn't typically male or female in order to make the genitalia look more normal. Often, these children grow up without knowing that this was done to them, and the practice is heavily criticized by intersex organizations around the world. The ambiguous genitalia that doctors operate on to assign birth is not genitalia that is neither male or female. It is genitalia that is not clearly male or female on initial observation. This may include females who are virilized, where her clitoris is larger and may appear more like a penis, and the labia is fused, resulting in it looking more like a scrotum. For males, it may include a hypospadias, where the urethra opens on the underside of the penis, or the penis is small, and looks more like a clitoris, or can be where the testicles haven't descended, so the scrotum looks more like a labia. Moreover, ambiguous genitalia is treated like a medical emergency. When the genitals themselves may not be immediately harmful, they are often a symptom of a different, potentially fatal issue. Babies of intersex conditions may be assigned different sexes in different countries, depending on a variety of factors, but they are not and would never be a different sex than the one they are. Sex is innate. Sometimes there are conditions or differences in sexual development that result in an observation of the incorrect sex or a decision to surgically create a set of genitals for a child that does not actually match their sex. But sex is innate, and we are all either female or male. Additionally, there are cases where people with XY chromosomes are born with a female phenotype. This is known as androgen sensitivity syndrome, and has a prevalence of as many as 1 in 20,000 people of those born with XY chromosomes. These individuals tend to identify as women and are generally heterosexual. And there are, of course, a myriad of other intersex conditions where a person may have a phenotype that conflicts with their genotype. This doesn't change the reality that the majority of the population faces. Yes, there is a minority of people who may have an intersex disorder, but they are not a 3rd sex. There is no 3rd sex able to create some other mystical form of ova or sperm. Even those with intersex disorders can only make one or the other, or face some kind of complication which prevents them from being fertile and making either. It does not mean that they are a 3rd gender or sex. It does not make them your pawn to excuse the creation of other genders or sexes, or to opt out of your own sex. This, dear viewers, is where we part. If you are interested in hearing more about this topic, I'll have some sources in the description down below, as well as a Tumblr post that I based the script off of. Normally, I write all of my scripts from scratch, but this case was stated perfectly by Bubblegum Misandry, and I was hesitant to reword it, as it would have just added unnecessary words to an already apt explanation. Please leave a comment down below. As per usual, if you were rude or resort to name-calling, your response will not be entertained. Keep it cordial, and I will too. I'll see you next time, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.